far-right influencers turned against Trump campaign. Okay, this is leading to that story because this is the part where they have to be paying very close attention to. So influencers like Nick Fuentes, Laura Loomer, Candace Owens are turning against Donald Trump's campaign, accusing it of being too soft and veering away from hard right positions that energized his base in 2016. Fuentes claimed Trump's campaign was headed for a catastrophic loss, while Loomer criticized his weak surrogates, and Owens described the situation as a MAGA civil war. These influencers who previously boosted Trump's online presence are now threatening a digital war against the campaign unless it shifts further right. Fuentes has urged his followers to adopt guerrilla tactics, including mass appearances at Trump rallies and withholding their votes to pressure the campaign into stop pandering to independents. The backlash from far-right figures who have millions of followers highlight a new vulnerability in Trump's base as his campaign struggles with slumping poll numbers. Adam, your thoughts on this?
Well, here's the problem and I've interviewed Nick Fuentes. We've obviously had Candace here. We can go down the list of people we've spoken to. And this kind of goes back to my previous point about you're never going to have an ideal candidate. You're never going to agree with somebody 100%. So we just saw the Reagan movie, right, with our friend Dennis Quaid. There was one quote that stuck out to me about the Reagan movie. And it was arguably one of Reagan's most powerful quote that people don't talk about. People talk about the quote, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down the wall. We all know that. And then, the scariest things you could ever hear are from, I'm the government, I'm coming to help. I'm here to help. But actually the most powerful thing that Ronald Reagan has ever said, and this is something that you should think about if you're trying to win elections, and it's the following. A person who agrees with you 80% of the time is a friend and ally, not a 20% traitor. Think about that for a second. 80% agreeance, they're your ally, they're your friend, they're not your enemy. And what happens is, whether it's the Candaces of the world, whether it's the Nick Fuentes in the world, they think that Donald Trump or the MAGA party, the America First Party, should do everything that they say because that's how they feel, that's what's going on. It doesn't work that way. And you think that Joe Biden and AOC are 100% aligned?
Not at all.
Not at all. But they're willing to say, you know what? I don't agree with you on that. I don't agree with that. But we have a common enemy, and that's Donald Trump. Whatever it is, we're going to get together. We're going to do this thing. What happens is, when you're so tethered to your principles, and there's zero exception of what you'll make in between, there's no room for daylight. So you have Nick Fuentes, who has been one of Trump's biggest allies. Candace Owens, Trump's biggest allies. Who was the other person that you said?
Laura Loomer.
Laura Loomer, who I've met with, we spoke with. I hosted a debate with her against Dave Smith. I've never seen a more, in a positive way, delusional Donald Trump advocate. But by the way, she is very pro-Israel. And she's critical that Trump isn't doing enough. And then Nick Fuentes and Candace, if you haven't seen her, not exactly pro-Israel these days. No. So you have these people who are completely in MAGA world, 70, 80, 90% agreeance with MAGA, America First, yet now they're basically saying, no, we're out, we're off the ship. So what's your other choice? It's a binary option. So you're not going to vote for Trump? You're going to have all your groypers or all your people that are a part of your camp not vote for Trump? Tell me how that serves you getting Kamala elected. It makes no sense to me. So all you're going to do is fight an in-war, civil war within yourselves, and then just allow Kamala Harris to win the White House because you're not 100% aligned with Trump. I think it is a horrible, short-sighted strategy.
So, because I was going to ask you, when you were talking about earlier, Adam, about the Democrats and what they're doing, and Tom, we talked about their tactics. Pal, I want to ask you a question, and you, Tom. So the Republicans have what? Fox News and X, correct? Spaces, whatever. The Democrats have all mainstream legacy media: CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, local news, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. If you were Trump's campaign manager, because this is how the rules are set up. You're not going to change that because the messaging, Adam, the reason that she's up is because she's everywhere. Every channel you see is Kamala. Fox, you see Trump, and Elon talk to him. What would you do as a campaign manager right now, PBD, to turn this whole thing around for Trump? Because obviously the numbers aren't lying. Influencers are turning. You know what I mean? He's only really out there in two spots, and Truth Social. What would be a tactic to get him out there more, to kind of like quell that surge?
So let's go through a couple things here. One, pull up Reuters report here, party affiliation among Muslims. Okay, so let's look at this here. Muslims on how they vote. Ready? 17% Republican, 21% no leaning. 62% Muslims are still going to vote for Democrats.
Jeez.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you look at this, and why are they going to vote for Democrats? Because Free Palestine, and you saw the 100,000 people in the streets, whatever the amount of people were. I don't want to say the number. I read 100,000, but it was a lot of people in the streets of Chicago, protesting outside. By the way, in Milwaukee, nobody boarded up businesses. In Chicago, go look at how many businesses were boarding up their business just to say we are doing it just in case riots, protesting take place. Okay, so guess what? When you look at that data with Muslims, what do you notice? You notice what? You notice a big percentage of them are not going to vote for Trump. Okay, tell me what Muslims coming out here right now trying to campaign for Trump. Who?
I haven't seen.
Who's going out there saying we're voting for Trump? Trust me, I've seen them. We have them in our company. Guys who are Muslims who will be voting for Trump. They're part of the 17%. But is that 62% moving dramatically? So what do you want Trump to do? Do you want Trump to sit there and so as a campaign manager, the first thing we would do is who are we not going to win at all? Like, forget about
women.
No matter what we no, he has to. That's a who are we not going to win? No matter what we do, you can never please them. You think Trump can really please the Muslims? You think Trump can really please Muslims?
Yeah, right now, no.
Let me ask you a question. What does he have to do to please Muslims?
Right now?
Yeah. Give me the Muslim vote.
Change his Jewish and Israeli positions.
Completely denounce Israel and everything that Israel's doing.
Okay, so let's go. That is the only way.
I think that's the only way.
Okay, perfect. So if he does that, what happens?
I mean, obviously there goes the Jewish vote.
Well, hang on. It's like a teeter-totter. You lose the Jewish vote, but you gain the Muslim vote.
Okay, what is the...
some of it. Some of them may not believe
Now, let me ask you a question. Pull up, Rob, how much money Muslims give to their political campaign? How much money do they contribute to their political party? Okay? How much money do they contribute to their political party? Do you actually have the number? Like, if you be able to pull it up, like, because some people like total contribution to political party by religion. Let's see if we have it. By religion. Does that show up, part of religion? I want to know money. I want exact amount of money being given. Source of funds, and what I'm looking for is United Methodist Church, all this. Okay, so that's Open Secrets is talking about churches. Party affiliation by vote. No, I don't want party affiliation. I want exact dollar amount, okay? I want exact dollar amount. If you were to put the $2 amounts between the Muslims and Jews, who do you think gives more?
Jewish people.
Okay, and it's not even close. By the way, do you know 17% of billionaires in America are Jewish?
17%.
17%. They are 0.2% of the population, but they are 17% of billionaires. Wow. In other words, 1 out of every 6 billionaire is Jewish. Okay? So guess how they negotiate? With their money and their power. Okay? That's what they do. That's how they negotiate. So he has to choose between the two, and he realizes a lot of these guys that are coming out saying free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine. You can do your best to try to bring up free Palestine, but then if you play that card and you try to play the card that is pro-Jewish, guess what you lose? Guess what you lose if you try to do both? You lose both.
Everybody.
Yeah, so guess who experienced that? You know who lost both? Biden lost both. Biden lost both, and then Jews are like, well, Bill Ackman, listen, I'm out of here. Okay, Ken Griffin, I'm out of here. Some of these things that you guys are doing, I'm out of here. I'm not going to be, is that the pro-Israel or pro? Okay, right there, pro-Israel PAC, 8.7 million.
Wow.
You got the pro-Arab PAC, $97,000. And that's 2020 cycle, which, by the way, long term, if Muslims truly want to compete, they can sit there and say whatever they want. You guys got to get your folks to get better at business, to make more money and move up in the business world, because that's what Jews do. That's what they do. So now, that choice, hey, all the people that are free Palestine and they're, Muslims, you're not going to win them over. Okay? You are not going to win them over. Here on this side, you can't win them over. Some of them even that were former Democrats that are influencers that can come back and vote for you. Let's go talk to those guys. Next, when it comes down to this, next part is independent. let's make a list of the top 10 most influential independent voters, independent and libertarian voters. Who are the top 10 most influential independent and libertarian voters?
Peter Thiel.
Okay.
Brings money, brings heat, and a lot of people follow him.
And some people say that Peter Thiel brought J.D. Vance, right? Some people say Peter Thiel brought J.D. Vance, and that's his candidate. Okay. So guess what? That means Peter Thiel does have some influence on the inside. Fine. Peter Thiel was on what podcast just last week?
He was on Rogan.
He was on Rogan last week.
Rogan is at the top of the list of independents that you probably want to
I disagree. I disagree. I think there's one person above Rogan.
Who? Elon?
No. It's not even that space. I think in this context, it's who they respond to. Like Rogan responds to RFK, not the other way around. Okay. I think they need to go get RFK. I think somehow, someway, you got to go get a powerful job to RFK and you got to recruit him over.
Yeah, I agree.
And whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know if it's going to happen. But if you go get an RFK, then who do you get? You go get the biggest crypto voice that's out there, whoever it is, and I'm talking massive crypto voice that you got to go get out there, because that's a completely different political party. But it's a strategy of me putting the top 10 independents, one by one, I'm calling them, and I'm asking who's got the most, it's a matchup system you're using. What the matchup system is, hey, who's got the closest relationship with RFK? Would you mind flying out and having a meeting with them? I'll take care of it. Let me go have a meeting with them. Who's got the best relation with such and such? Don't worry about it. I'm meeting with them. Who's got the best relation? You have to go play the matchup system and send the best people to go out there and negotiate on your behalf. You have to do that. And I don't know if it's happening right now. By the way, the chart that you showed up Vegas, Rob, go back to that chart that Adam was talking about all the way. Yeah, look at that. Kamala Harris, first place, presidential.
To the right.
Yeah, Kamala, she's number 1. Trump's number 2.
Yep.
That's the presidential race. That's official, by the way. This is no longer like that conversation's not being had. In regards to these influencers, the far-right influencers, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Laura Loomer, Dan Bilzerian, who I had on, that even he cannot stand Israel. Like, to him, he thinks the world's a better place without Israel even being in existence. Like, his position was extreme. Which one is this, Rob, the clip?
This is where he talks about Israel's involvement in 9/11, JFK's assassination, and others.
Okay, so this is very aligned with what Candace was saying. So maybe play this clip, and then let's go to Candace's clip.
They've done so many things that, would constitute an act of war against us. I mean, USS Liberty, Lebanon Affair, I mean, it can go on and on and on and on and on. But, I think they knew about 9/11. I think they had JFK assassinated. The first thing that he wanted to do, right before he died was, make AIPAC a foreign entity and not allow them to have nukes. And then all of a sudden this fucking guy's dead. And Jack Ruby, who is Jack Rubenstein, I mean, it's just like, and then you just, I don't know, man, I can't ignore all the shit that they've done. They sold their secrets. Netanyahu lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. We fought all these fucking wars. My friends have died over there. And
Rob, you can pause this and go to Candace. Watch the level of alignment. Go to Candace. Play this clip.
So we've got this friend and ally, and we're not allowed to ask questions about JFK's shooting or the USS Liberty. Yeah. The Mossad there on the day that JFK was shot. The arguments that he was having in the days preceding with their prime minister, still classified. Okay, we're never going to know what they were arguing about. And then Jacob Rubenstein shoots the guy who said he didn't shoot the guy. Do you have a question about that? You anti-Semite? Don't come at me. Don't even, I don't even want to hear questions. We're not allowed to even speak about the USS Liberty. The fact that, after October 7th, they jammed through a bill in Congress, okay? And they were like, we must have an October 7th Day of Remembrance in school. Kids must learn about this in school. And we can't get one for the USS Liberty.
Rob, play the next clip of Candace as well. This one, Roger. Adam, you have to stop.
Honestly, so loud. That basically every person who speaks about Israel has to basically say a statement that's I don't want to get killed. Literally, because speaking about it, people are like, Candace, beef up your security. That's not fucking normal. It's not normal that people have to think about their security because, and by the way, it's not normal that then the way that you get comfortable with it is you're like, they shot JFK in an open car, so there's not. He's a sitting president. Obviously, my
you watch the podcast, you're hearing some of the stuff. And by the way, just so you know, I listen to most of her Twitter, what do you call it?
I watch the Spaces, me too.
Spaces that she did with Dave Smith and with Dan.
The other Jewish
and with,
guy, the
Tate
other
and
Zionist.
Andrew, the other Jew.
Yeah.
I listen to it. I listen to the arguments. Adam.
Well, let's just take Dan and Candace and kind of treat them separately because I don't know how aligned they are other than they certainly don't seem to be fans of Israel. So I have a lot more respect for Candace than I do Dan because this is somebody, whether you agree with her or not, has at least studied topics and is at least known for certain topics. Geopolitics, not exactly her forte. I would say she's better at domestic. You know, Dan Bilzerian. You know, it was nice of him to take time out of one of his orgies and gangbangs to weigh in on Gaza-Israel dynamics. I'm sure he's very well versed at this. You know, you asked him at one point, hey, you read a lot? You read a lot of books? He's like, no, not at all. So my assumption is he's going completely irrational, emotional, and he's just parroting whatever somebody told him. And clearly there's some things that are going on here, whether it's the JFK assassination, whether it's the Bolshevik Revolution, whether it's the USS Liberty that we can discuss, that these are now talking points where, of course, it's the Jews. All right. Well, you know, where am I going with all this? You know, you wrote a book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely. So, you know, there's also another phrase, the enemy of my enemy is my
enemy.
Friend. No, not my enemy. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So, nice, Vince.
I love you.
So when you look at who U.S.'s greatest allies are, remove complete emotion and how you feel about certain countries some type of way. Who are U.S.'s top 10 allies? You can even probably Google this. So without even having an exact list, I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's the UK, it's Canada, it's Australia, basically people part of the Queens from the Queen of England, Canada. Then you have the EU countries. You have Germany, France. You have the Netherlands. Then you have Japan, South Korea, Israel, rounding out the top 10. Now you can pick who's where, what's who, where's what. Okay, so Israel's in the top 10. This shows you Israel's number one. So what I do is this: I say, all right, those are my allies. How close am I to each of my allies? Well, you know, UK, all right, cool, we're there. They have a quote unquote special relationship. Israel, we get that. Germany, what have you. But then you have to make a list of who your enemies are. And we've had the same four enemies for decades now. Who are the four enemies that, like, they have not changed in decades? It's the same countries. You have Iran, you have Russia, you have China, and then you have North Korea. Those are the big four. But then after that, here's what's important for people to understand. There's a whole host of countries that are on our enemies list that we are not aligned with, that we are not friends with, that we're not looking to become friends with. Who are these countries? Well, Afghanistan, Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, a whole host of African countries. And part of that list is the Palestinian territories. They're not our allies. You know, any group out there that is shouting death to America, death to Israel, they're not our friends. So here's what's interesting about allies. They're not always your allies, and the trust level moves. So it's interesting to me that I just read the top 10 list. Japan, Germany, Italy, the UK, also Spain. Each one of these countries, you know what we've done with? We've gone to full-on war against. We were just fighting Germany 70 years ago against the Nazis. We were just fighting Imperial Japanese, and now they're our allies. We went to war against Spain in the American-Spanish War. Dude, we got our independence from the UK. So to say, yes, we've had checkered pasts with our allies would be an understatement. So now we want to bring up Israel. Okay, what have they done? What are they doing for us? Well, we've actually never been to war with them. Now, if you want to go to the narrative like, well, they're taking over the United States, well, just go to opensecrets.org. You can see how much APAC and every country basically contributes to the United States. But what type of shared interest do we have with Israel? Tech, military, intelligence, finance, loyalty, trust, values, principles, Judeo-Christian values, regional stability. So the concept that Dan Bilzerian, who just fresh out of banging 3 chicks, decided to weigh in on Israel-Gaza relations, it just shows that he has no clue what's going on out there. So if you want to choose your enemies wisely, so, okay, in order for Israel to be an enemy, which you're claiming, Dan Bilzerian, that means Iran, the Islamic Republic, is now your friend. That means you're advocating for the Houthis, the Hezbollah, the Hamas. So it's a very slippery slope when you start going down the path of this group, who is my ally, should be my enemy. What happens to your actual enemies? So Dan is completely misinformed. Now, Candace, real quick, I think this is a complete emotional, nonsensical, illogical, irrational response to what happened with Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. Because besides Israel, think about it for a second. You know, we just talked about Reagan and 80%. Ben and Candace are very aligned. They're conservatives. They believe in God. They believe in traditional family values. You can go down the list, boom, 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 and you can notice the reason why they actually aligned in the first place. But this one issue drove such a wedge, and now they're enemies. And we've seen countrymen become enemies before, and that's why now they have civil wars. So what's happening right now is that her emotions are getting the best of her. And my question to Candace, who I think is a very logical actor who is completely acting illogically, is where do you want to go from here? How many allies, friends, do you want to distance yourself from? Because we already know that she has no friend of the woke left, the progressive. 80% of black people don't even like Candace. I actually was a fan of Candace. I think she hit the nail on the head with BLM, with feminism, with COVID, a lot of stuff. But then what happens is there's a difference between having brains and having hubris. And hubris is having excessive pride, and everything I say turns to gold. Well, not really. Because what happens is you basically fractured the conservative party, because the Charlie Kirks of the world, the Ben Shapiro's of the world, they're actually overwhelmingly pro-Israel. So now Candace is going to find her point in who's her audience now, because she's abandoned the left, she's abandoned the moderates, she's abandoned the conservatives. She's going to find herself in a very weird void where she's now the new Kanye befriending Nick Fuentes, who, by the way, doesn't like black people, Candace. And you're going to find yourself basically aligning with the Islamists, who also are not a fan of Christianity. So I feel like she's completely lost her way. And my hope for Candace, who I have respect for, is that she can find her way and walk this back. Because even the craziest anti-Semite in the last couple of years has been Kanye, had to basically come out and say, sorry, guys, I was actually bipolar, my bad, and had to do an apology tour. I think Candace is better than that, and I hope she does better.
Let me ask you a question. You think Candace hates Jews? You think she's anti-Semitic?
I don't think she did, but now she probably does.
And okay, so you believe that Candace Owens internally hates Jewish people? Like Adam, she doesn't like you.
I don't.
I'm just asking yes or no.
See, that's the problem.
No. I have to get to my point, because all she's doing, Adam, is pointing things out that forever were forbidden. You could never say anything about Israel. You couldn't say anything about Jews, or else what happened?
Says who?
No, hold on.
No,
you were canceled, Adam.
No, but you say you can't say anything about Jews.
Let me finish.
Says who?
Pointing out.
Pretty sure I see a lot of comments about Jews.
Okay, tell me one thing that she's been stating that is false about what Israel has done, or Benjamin Netanyahu has done, or hold on a second, or the USS Liberty. And I'm sick and tired of people, and I know you said this, it was 50 years ago. I don't give a shit if it was 200 years ago. The fact that they attacked and killed 34 American soldiers and got away with it, that's an act of war, Adam. Let's just be honest with each other, okay? At least with X, we can hold on, I'm almost done. We can have a conversation where she can have Andrew Tate, where she can have a Zionist, and we can have a conversation and a debate, okay? And I believe that there's a huge misconception that the moment you criticize what Israel does as a nation, you are a freaking anti-Semite. That's why they pushed that bill in Congress. It's BS. And they get away with a lot, Adam. I don't know if you guys noticed this. A couple weeks ago, Israeli soldiers were on camera raping Palestinian prisoners, detainees.
Show it
okay, I sent it to Rob.
Okay.
I sent it to Adam. Am I anti-Semite now? Because I'm proving that not only did they not get in trouble, Israelis came to the prison and rioted to get those soldiers out, and then the soldiers were released, and one of them was on camera saying, yeah, we did it, and what? So here's my point, Adam. Just because You want to criticize a certain, Adam, people criticize the United States all the time. I criticize, as a veteran, George Bush Jr. and the act of disgustingness that he did with 9/11 and freaking Iraq and weapons of mass destruction.
Why do you think they don't? Why do you think so? Did you read the book Israeli Lobby?
I'm almost finished.
Okay, so what did you catch about the fact that every president since Nixon, since Carter, when they negotiated the terms, since Gerald Ford and Kissinger, since every one of them that tried to negotiate terms, this goes all the way back to giving credit to how Jews negotiated contracts many, many years ago.
Yeah, and I got
and
that.
when you look at that, you're like, okay, these guys were the only ones that negotiated terms that instead of getting quarterly payments when U.S. was helping them out, they would get payments all up front. 100% of money would be given up front.
Yes.
And then many times when money that was given to Israel to help out, many times a part of the negotiation would be like, oh, let's just write it off. And even to the point where one time Clinton, they negotiated something and they didn't follow what Clinton asked them to do. And they wanted Clinton to go out there to kind of commemorate and say, hey, we're doing this. He said, I'm not even coming. Forget about it. You guys do it on your own, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So why do you think that happened?
Well, because I wrote this down, PBD, and I said I give them credit where credit's due. The business savvy, the decision making, the alliances. We're Assyrian. I wish Assyrians did that thing. My only thing, Pat, is the accountability when they make mistakes. That's it. That's all I think. Especially people like Candace. Where's the accountability? Shouldn't you get in trouble for attacking a U.S. ship? Shouldn't you get in trouble? What if other country raped prisoners on camera? It would be an international, everybody would be going nuts. It just seems, and that's what she's pointing out, Pat, that when it comes to Israel, they get away with a lot.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
So should a guy I had on who was Thomas Jefferson's great-great-great-great-grandson, 6 generations grandson, and he goes out there and he trashes Thomas Jefferson and says we need to remove Thomas Jefferson's statue and replace it with who did he want to replace it to? Yeah, that's exactly the person, the grandson, if you can pull that up.
Prescott,
Thomas Jefferson's, that was his name. Go up, Rob, let me read what I'm reading on Thomas Jefferson's, no, not this one, the other one. There's another one that he says. And he says, we need to remove, and I'm so disappointed with my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, and George Washington was a slave owner, Vinnie.
Yes.
He was a slave owner. And because of that, we need to do this. What do you say to blacks that say George Washington was a slave owner? And we need to teach that to our kids in America that are going to school. What do you say to that?
I 100% say you say everything truthful and honest because that's how we got where we got.
Yeah.
And that's history.
Yeah.
And you can't run or hide from the history. And taking down a statue isn't going to take away the fact that these people did what they did.
Is it for educational purposes only, or what do you want to do with it? Because we have a pretty ugly history as well.
Disgusting.
But what do you want to do with our history?
In what sense?
Well, I mean, we have ugly history. We've done some ugly shit.
Big time.
What should we do with that?
I mean, learn from mistakes and get better and not let the past make us, do it again in the future.
All right. So can I do that with black history, where the first slave owner in America, do you know who was the first person that owned slaves in America?
It was a black man.
It was a black man.
Yeah.
Can you write up, Rob, the first slave owner in America? First slave owner in America was a black man who owned slaves. Okay. So what should we do with that guy? Should we go and say, oh, horrible? And should we, the point with everything that you're saying with the rape and all that stuff, okay, on what happened, I can show videos of women being stoned to death in the Middle East. It's a regular Tuesday, okay, for adultery. How do you feel about that?
It's horrible, but are they our number one ally? Are they the people that we give everything to and that we are told that we have to pick a side and protect?
So what you just said is very important.
Yes.
And this is the slippery slope with Candace when I gave her my feedback.
Yeah.
Privately, I gave her my feedback. I'm not going to tell everybody what feedback I gave her, but I gave her my feedback when her and I were speaking. So for me, the part is when you go the direction you're going, then Dan goes to the world's a better place without Israel being in existence.
Right.
Now you're playing with fire. So that is the part where this whole movement is going to. The movement is going to turn and support who? Okay, yeah, you're right. So who do I support? Not Trump. Oh, shit. Okay. So who do I support? You support anti-Israel. Okay, so who do I support? Muslims? Well, they're religion of peace. Really? Are you seeing Tommy Robinson? What's going on in UK? You're not with it?
No.
Are you with it?
Nope.
Okay, so check this out. This last week, you know who we had on here? Here's who we had on here. I never knew this until this data came through this week. And by the way, I haven't made friends the last week. If you haven't looked at Twitter, I haven't made any new friends where
We're still good.
Yeah. No, I don't worry about it. I don't wake up in the morning trying to win people or not or do any of that stuff. I wake up in the morning and try to process issues myself. So last week we had him on Friday. Dominic Tarczynski. I don't know if you know who he is.
I love him.
Dominic Tarczynski is the two-time European Parliament and Polish Parliament, Dominic Tarczynski. He comes here. You ever seen the clip on what he says, Rob? Can you pull up that clip where he's being interviewed and he says not one? I want you to watch this clip. Go ahead. Play this clip.
Oh, I love this.
How many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me, if you are asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
But I asked
this
not about illegal
failed.
immigrants. I asked about refugees. And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that you're racist. You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
Of course, because this is what our people are expecting from our government. That's number one. This is why our government was elected. But this is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we had not even one terrorist attack. Look at the streets in Poland. And we can be called populists, nationalists, racists. I don't care. I care about my family and about my country.
By the way, let me give you some stats here. You ready? Mm-hmm. Do you know what is the #1 country in Europe out of 27 countries in crime? Least amount of crime?
Poland.
Poland. Do you know who has the lowest amount of rape? Poland. Do you know who has the lowest amount of unemployment rate? Poland. Do you know who has the least amount of Muslim population in Europe? Poland. 0.1%. So to all the Muslims who are like, oh my God, that's exactly, we know you're a Zionist person, and da-da-da. I'm doing a video on AIPAC that's coming out in 2 weeks. I'm not an ally. We don't sit there, and by the way, 100% of what we do with Valuetainment, we don't take money from everybody. We've never raised capital from anybody. And if you've noticed, we don't even do sponsorships anymore. I told everybody no. Millions on top of millions of dollars of money. Take gold money. Take this. I don't want it right now. Why do you not want it? Because I'm doing sponsorship with our businesses that we're running. If you like what we stand for, you support us, support Monex, support The Merge, support Bed David Consulting, support The Vault. If you don't, totally get it. Go support somebody else. We're not even taking sponsorship money right now. People are begging us to take millions of dollars of free cash. Zero. We don't have a sponsorship department here. Tell me one podcast in the world that doesn't have a freaking sponsorship department and they're not relying on other people giving them money. No one gives us money to tell us what to do. We own 100% of the company today. Will we end up raising money? Yes, we will. Who? Strategic partner. Until then, ain't nobody telling us what to do. But going back to this, why is Poland the lowest in crime if they have the lowest Muslim population? Should we not look at data? Should we not look at data? By the way, who's the highest in Muslim population?
What?
France.
Yeah.
Who's the highest in crime? France. Why is that? Why are we not asking that question? By the way, I'm at a restaurant the other day. A Muslim guy pulls up to me, super respectful, and he asked me, hey, let me tell you, and I don't agree with you and all this stuff. And my kids are sitting. Dylan was worried because Dylan's looking at him like, this guy's going to do something. But it was actually a very respectful conversation. So that's the question. Where are you going with it? Now, let's talk Israel. Let's talk Mossad. Some very weird history with Israel. Just some very, very weird stuff that's with history. We all got it, by the way, but they got some weird part of it on how they negotiated terms. American people, politicians, should have been very dumb when they negotiated terms to give money up front without quarterly payments. Do you know what that means? Let me explain to you what that means. It's kind of like you have booking a speaker for the Vol Conference.
Okay.
And you pay all the money up front. Nobody ever pays all the money up front. You know how it works? You pay half up front, half when it's at the event. Nobody says, hey, here's the entire speaking fee up front. Nobody does that. And if you book the speaker a year in advance, it's quarter. So say we book somebody for, $300,000, $75K here, $75K 6 months out, $75K 3 months out, $75K at the event. That's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
What are we doing paying the whole thing money up front? I don't know. What are we doing with the amount of intel that we're giving Mossad? Why are we giving Mossad as much? Because they're an ally? Okay, everything? Are they giving us everything? I don't know. And you go in and you see some of the other stuff that's being taken place. This is the part that I know this is going to sound freaking so weird to say this. I am a Christian first.
Yep.
I am a father and family second, is what I am. And I am America third. I'm not in a country, America is first. But I'm Christian first. Then I'm a family guy, my family and friends, people that are with me. Then for me, it's America, okay? I'm not sitting here trying to win a political party and all this other stuff. But again, on the other hand, Trump is winning for office. So some of these things that, these guys that are doing, the Knicks or, Candace or, Dan, although Dan said he's going to vote for Trump, and I know Candace is going to vote for Trump, they're criticizing the president, okay? At the end, they're all going to vote for Trump. Mm-hmm. But what they don't realize they're doing, they may have pushed some people away from Trump. And that's what they did. And why? Why is that? What do sometimes brats get upset about?
If they don't get it their way.
If they don't get it their way, if they don't get heard. So maybe some of these guys, like for example, I really want Trump to do Rogan's podcast. But I really want Rogan to do, Trump's podcast. If Rogan doesn't do Trump, have you ever heard me criticize a Rogan for not bringing Trump on or any of that? It's his freaking choice. Mm-hmm. If he chooses to do it or not. I'd love to see it. Okay? I'm sure a lot of people would love to have Trump on and they want to get Trump's attention. Just to get a nod. Hey, we hear you. Maybe he doesn't want to do it. Does he have to do it? Does he have to do it with everybody? Is it that much attention that you need? Is your attention over a Kamala? Is that where you are? Is it more you getting attention over your country? I don't know. And yes, Trump did go to Israel. And yes, he is Israel supporting them. That's the position he took. You don't like it? Guess what? Go make a ton of money and bring alliances together. Just make sure whoever you're bringing alliances with have money and influence that they can do something about it. Or else it's just a show to get more eyeballs and more, more eyeballs and more fame and trendy. And by the way, there are a lot of stories that you can pick and go with that the temperature of it goes 0 to 100 very quickly. But let me tell you what else happens with those stories. They also can go from 100 to 0 in no time. Then you got to find the next story and the next story and the next story. And then there are certain stories you pick that are forever. This game is a very different game. And if you're going to be around for a while, I mean, even right now in Iran, hangings are still going on in Iran. You think Iran is an ally?
Nope.
You think Iran is an ally on what they're doing? You think Iran right there, somebody does something, oh, we're pro-woman. Really? Go be pro-woman in Iran, see what they're doing. Go ahead. Go be pro-woman in Iran, see what they're doing. So the only slippery slope here when you play games is you're pushing people away from somewhere, they're going to go somewhere else. And if they go somewhere else, that may not be a place that's going to support the vision that you have for America. Because right now, let's just say Kamala's president. How bad do you think that is if Kamala becomes president?
For the country, I think it's absolutely horrible. And
are we going to get over it, or you think it's 0 to 10, it's 10, it's very bad?
I think it'll be an 8, but I think everything that's been happening for the past 4 years is going to be multiplied and magnified because she's actually there. She can. By the way, she's going to be a horrible president.
Right. Do you think she can be a 2-term?
Absolutely.
Do you think in the next seat they can flip 2 more seats in Supreme Court and one of them being... Do you think we can now go back to 5-4 to the left?
I think so.
Okay. How bad is that for you?
Horrible.
Okay, then. That's what's happening. Mm-hmm. That's what's happening. So the point is, these arguments being made is fracturing and fragmenting the political party. And by the way, just right now, 87 executions in one day. 87 executions in one day, Iran. Fantastic. Just a regular day, right? Just a great stuff, you know. Yeah. But Iran is Israel's enemy. So if Israel's your enemy, you're for Iran. You have to understand, it's not, it's not a, I don't know how to describe, for people like, Paul, you're just, trust me, if you only really knew what I thought on the inside. Trust me, I lived in Iran and I know what it is to do business with others. I've been around to see what's going on with all this other stuff. This is not like a hypothetical that we're talking about here. But push Israel as much as you want. You're only strengthening Iran.
Exactly.
Keep doing it. Push Israel all you want. You're only strengthening Iran. You don't have to. There is, you know how you work at an environment. Does everybody in this office, is everybody at Lion Holding Valuetainment attend to you, relationship-wise?
Meaning?
No. 100% of people you love and you hang out with?
No.
You get along with most.
I get along with everybody. I don't hang out with everybody.
But are there certain people you tolerate?
Yes.
Okay. In what environment do you not have to do that? So what's the solution? Think about it. So let's actually go there. Is it good for the people you tolerate for you to leave Lion Holding and say, screw it. Because I can't tolerate these two people, I'm going to leave and I'm going to do it?
No.
Because the opportunity is bigger than the two people you have to tolerate. Insurance industry, finance, business. How many people you think we had to tolerate over the years? People that I knew behind my back. You know how many, Tom knows this. You know how many people, there's a lady right now, you know how many times behind my back she said so many things about me?
And you knew it.
Oh, till today she does it, and she was at my conference. And I know it. She's not part of my company, but she's part of some of the people that, do you know till today I know it? And guess what?
When you see her, you're like,
how you doing?
How you doing?
Why though? Why do you have to do that? Because that's part of being in business. You're not going to get along with everybody.
I got you.
Today is August 20th. For those of you that are competing for the Connect contest, Rob, if you can go to it, this is officially the last opportunity, last 2 weeks to compete for the Connect contest. If you can go lower right now, the leagues for different levels that we have, the expert, Caleb Altmaier is officially first place. I believe he's a pastor, really nice guy. Talked to him a few times.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Bryce Mitchell, UFC, had a blast having him on. Alexander Lorenzo, their top three. And then you got Patrick Williams, Nicholas Irving, what do you call it, sniper, and then a bunch of other guys. They're in the top 10.
Ivan Raikkonen with 26.
Yeah,
I got 26.
I
love
That's right.
it.
Keep going. And at middleweight, we have Matten Hagkar, first place. That's an open one that anybody can compete in. Samuel Riley, Rollo Tomasi, really third place. Good for you, Rollo, at third place. MJ Harris says, Celia, if you got reviews, you would be in third place. Saad Hashmani, Matan, and then the rest of the guys there. Go to the next one. This is heavyweight. Denis Panev, good for you. Candace Owens coming up. Look at that. Candace Owens, second place. Dustin Gotkovsky, third. Calvin Ing competing. By the way, Dustin, Calvin, and who else is the third one? Dustin, Calvin, and one other. They're competing on Dennis. They're competing to see who's going to be the first to do 1,000 MNX. It's a super close race. Dennis may actually beat Dustin, but we'll see. Is that Rob Gargulo?
Rob Gargulo.
And by the way, do me a favor, Rob. Put up your QR code real quick. Folks, if you love Rob, truly, if you love Rob, send him a Connect and wish him a happy birthday.
Yes.
It was just his birthday. Rob Gargulo, the man, had a birthday right there. Shoot him a Connect. Give him some love.
And Pat, by the way, they're not going to get Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't know why the hell he has Vivek's picture. That's false advertising. You're just going to get Rob.
Which one's Rob?
Rob's the little guy on the right with the beautiful tie.
The beard?
Yes.
Okay, the brown guy's been... Okay, got it.
That's a guy named Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay, go back to it, Rob. Let's see what else we got. Go back to it. Let's see what else we got. And Vincent Oshana just absolutely dominating. 638, 1590. And then go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. Matt Cook at the top.
Mark.
Good for you. Mark Cook, 56.
Australia, right?
That's right. I've spoken to him 15 minutes before. Reese Queen, Brand Smith, and you got a bunch of other guys there. And then let's go to the last one. You got existing. Chris Magavero, User 0, Rachel Cox, And Caleb's even on there. You know who else is on there asking the most, Manette? Go a little lower, go a little lower. Look, oh, man, that's a lot of good people on that list.
Look at that.
So the winners will be going to have a private meeting with me at the Vault Conference, and the winners will get a chance to meet The Rock and take a picture with them. So download Manette and start asking questions. There's a lot of good things going on right now with Manette app.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.